Are you tired with competing with other buyers and investor for properties on the market? If so, you're definitely going to want to make sure to dive in today's episode as we talk all about finding and purchasing off-market properties. So, welcome back to today's episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. What we're going to be talking about today is just really that value of off-market properties. If you've been listening to us for a while or are a part of the Lady Landlords Facebook group, you know that most of my portfolio and most of the place that I buy is within the greater New York City area, right? So we're talking either within the city, in the Bronx, I own property, otherwise in Westchester County, Orange County. So really everything within kind of an hour of New York City. So talk about high cost of living areas, talk about competition areas, talk about, other places that investors are just absolutely scooping up places that usually have really deep pockets, right? Doesn't always necessarily fit with just kind of the mom and pop kind of outfit that most of us are here. So being able to start using and putting systems into place to find off-market properties can be an absolute game changer for you. And I want to give you a couple ideas of things that you would be able to do to help find those properties. But this was something that actually the very second property I bought was actually an off-market property. We need to remember that when you think about off-market properties, all that means is it's just not listed actually on the market, on the MLS. So there's really kind of two ways to be able to look at this, okay? One would literally just be going through still a realtor and using those relationships there to be able to find a property that is not listed yet. And then the second side of it is to really be able to build out your own funnels, your own systems, which can be really, really exciting to do that on the other side. So let's break those two down. That very second property that I ended up buying happened like this. This was something after I bought the first duplex back in 2018 in Westchester County, New York. This was something that I decided I was hooked on real estate. I wanted to be able to buy more properties. I wanted to be able to grow and really purchase more rental properties. But I wasn't really sure how I was going to be able to do that. Everybody that I talked to kept saying, no, you already put your life savings into this. No, you're going to need more time to be able to grow. No, you're not ready to buy another property. You're never going to be able to get a loan. So I went down this complete rabbit hole on how to be able to find properties, buy faster, scale faster, all of those things. And one of the things that kind of kept coming back was just really understanding your market, understanding your network, understanding the people around you. And I called, and they will verify this, I called my lender and my realtor like every single month after month after month, and said, I want to buy another rental property. And like, Becky, nope, too soon yet. Nope, can't do it. Nope, there's this reason, that reason, the other reason. But every single month I called them. And finally, it was probably about 6 months after I closed on the first property that my realtor actually said to me, you know what? I might actually have something for you. But in order to talk about it, I need you to get pre-approved. So I was like, great, I already have my lender on speed dial still. So called him up and said, hey, I think there might be something that I can move forward with. Realtor said this could work. What do you think? And he goes, you know what? I think you might finally be ready to. Financially, I think you might be able to do this. So as we were going through that, this is in the afternoon, my husband came home that day and he goes, oh, it was so weird, Becky. I just saw our realtor leaving the house across the street. And I said, oh, that was it. And that actually was. Called my realtor back, said, lender finally approved us. What do you got for me? And he's like, oh, well, there's property in your neighborhood, really close. I think it'd be a really good fit for you. And I was like, oh, is it the property across the street? And he was like, yeah. How did you know that? And I said, oh, my husband actually caught you walking out the door earlier. What ended up happening was months before, when we were buying our house and our house was being appraised, our realtor was there doing that due diligence for us buying the house. During that time, little old lady in the neighborhood comes wandering over, says, hey, I don't recognize you. I don't know you. What are you doing here? He said, oh, I'm a realtor. I have buyers that are purchasing this house. I'm here for the appraisal. She goes, oh, maybe stay in touch. My husband and I, we're getting a little bit older. We're thinking about selling our place. So all those months later, 5-6 months later now, we were finally ready to go. But that realtor was also calling and following up with her to see when she was going to be ready to be able to sell their house. What was great now is we got to a space where they were ready to sell a house and our realtor then came to us. So this was a property that now we didn't have to compete with anybody about. And this was like an investor's dream. Not only was it a 4-family, an actual CO with 4 units in that area in New York City was absolutely fantastic, but it also came with a parking lot. Okay. Now that might not sound like something big for people depending on where you're located, but I'm telling you, for those of us in New York and right outside the city, parking lots equal money. This was a great way to be able to generate extra income in addition to renting out the units, was to actually rent out parking spaces. In Manhattan, people are paying like $300-$400 a month for parking spaces, even probably higher. Also in the Bronx, we were paying a couple $100 when we lived in the Bronx. You know what? I'm going to be able to do the same thing. Was in love with this property. So that was something that it was just such a great way, using networking, staying in touch, making sure that my peoples on my team knew what I was looking for and knew that I was serious to be able to move forward. Remember, he made sure I got pre-approved before telling me about it. But it was that constant connection, that following up, that allowed for that to happen. Now, using realtors and using your connection, I remember we want to make sure that on our side, we're also being loyal to our realtors, right? We want to make sure to be referring them to other people, to make sure to stay in touch with them and let us know our plans moving forward. But as much as we want to have that stokes in the fire towards our realtor and our network, we also want to start looking on that on the other side. A lot of people will be using wholesalers to be able to find off-market property deals. Now, off-market property deals and wholesalers work like this. Wholesalers are really a middleman. They're a person that goes out, calls up sellers, makes deals with sellers, and then finds you as the end buyer. And then they buy it from one person. Let's say they made a deal with the seller. Hey, I'm going to give you $100,000 for your property. Now, they got that under contract. They didn't close on it, but they have it under contract. They'll then come to you. Hey, Becky, here's this property here. I found it. I think it'd be great for you. Only $110,000. So now when you close on it, they keep that 10 grand and then they pay the seller off their 100, right? So they keep that finder's fee really in the middle there. But it's a great system to be able to do. But when you think about it, you now are paying that finder's fee. So why not start thinking about other ways that you can actually go about making those own deals yourself? This then is kind of cutting out that middleman and just going direct to those sellers. There are so many ways and so many options of how you can use different software, different technology to really speed up that process and put these funnels in place yourself. So that way you don't have to go through a middleman. You don't need that wholesaler. What this allows you to do is 3 different things. When you're able to find your own deals, that allows for just that less competition there, right? If you're sitting there and you're knocking on doors, you're calling different sellers, you're able then to really be able to have control over what that property is. That seller now is not talking to anybody else. You don't have to worry about what that looks like. You really have that property to be able to make that deal with. Having that communication direct with the seller is going to be fantastic. That way you can really get an idea of what that seller needs, what you need as an investor, and really be able to make that deal happen, right? I know right now, I see in Lady Landlords in our Facebook group every single day, people talking about, oh, I can't find this deal. I can't find this deal. Well, you know what? If you can't find a deal, go out and make one. There is absolutely that no one, and there are over 50,000 women in our Lady Landlords Facebook group. There is no reason that every single woman in there cannot go out and find a deal that's going to work with the market she wants to buy in, with the budget she wants to work with. All of those things can be happen, but let's be real. You get out what you put in. We have to put some of this work into place. But being able to talk directly with that seller, understanding what they need, knowing what you need as an investor, and putting that deal together, that is going to change the game for you within real estate investing. Now you're not just sitting there waiting for somebody to put their property on the MLS. Now you're not just sitting there paying top dollar for a property that goes on the MLS. Now you're out there, you're making your deals. Game changer, ladies. So what this also allows you to do is usually get a better price. This will allow you to actually be able to negotiate what that is. You're not competing with anybody else. You can take your time to actually understand what that seller needs. You can actually take your time to understand what is happening with that property and what it really is worth and really what the seller needs and why they're looking to sell. All of those different things can be handled. Okay. So when you're talking better communication with the seller and better relationship there, a property that nobody else is looking at actually purchasing, getting a better price on the property. So you're spending less, possibly having the opportunity to do seller financing or even a lower down payment than a traditional bank is going to cost you, or even create a financing at that point. And the whole time, you don't have to worry about that crazy competition. I'm sorry, but this is a win-win for you ladies. So when I first got introduced to this concept and you kind of saw like the old school people out there talking about it, being like, oh, put up a bandit sign. When somebody gets off the highway, put those signs up that say, we'll buy ugly houses, cash offers. And it's like, really? This is what I want to do? I want to chase my tail that way, or I'm going to go spend my Saturday knocking on strangers' doors. One, unsafe. Two, I'm sorry, 2024. Who answers when people knock on doors? I'm a millennial. That is a weird thing to me. It's hard enough to get me to actually answer even a phone call from a number I don't know. I am not opening a door that I don't know, right? So we don't want to be those people either. Calling people. Cool, I could do that, but how many times am I going to be sitting there dialing and just getting somebody's voicemail and voicemail and voicemail? Well, ladies, I'm happy to tell you that there are a bunch of different systems and a bunch of different ways that we can actually do this and speed up what that process looks like. Not only makes it easier for us using technology here, makes it safer for us. We can reach more people in a shorter time. We can also be a lot more targeted with who we're actually reaching out to, which means that there's gonna be a better chance of getting that off-market property for an amazing price that we are able to grow our portfolio. So if you have not seen this, we are doing a 2-day free training in Lady Landlords on Wednesday, December 4th and Thursday, December 5th. We're going to do 2 whole days where we're going to really break down how those systems work, how I create lists of buyers that I know are ready to be able to sell to me, how to go through what those negotiations look like, all of those different things. And I'm going to make sure that you know exactly what you do, what you need to do to market to those leads once you identify them and be able to get the deal done. Okay. Here, now we are in the last month of 2024. The work you do in 2024 is going to show up in 2025. You plant the seeds now to bear the fruit in the new year. Okay. So if you are saying, yep, 2025 is my year, 2025 is the year that I'm going to grow that portfolio, that I'm going to become work optional, whatever that looks like for you and your family, you do not want to miss this 2-day training. Okay. So I'm going to make sure down in the show notes that you have the link so that way you'll be able to register for that. Come and join us for that training. Last training we did a few weeks ago, we had over 500 women. We actually had no room in Zoom. They actually shut down our capacity and minimized it. That's all we were able to have in that room was those 500 ladies. So I know that this is also going to be another topic that is going to blow up. Make sure you register. Only those that register will get the Zoom link, but come and hear about the different ways that I am getting deal after deal after deal being sent to my inbox that I know is going to be a deal that I can pick up and be able to close on. All right. So thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you later this week for our off-market property strategy workshop. Like I said, 2 days that we're going to be talking about this and really make sure that you have your action plan put together on how you can go after and use these software systems and really minimize your time and maximize your results. So don't forget to register. Also, please do make sure to subscribe so you do not miss the next episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. We release new episodes every single Tuesday. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please do make sure to leave us a 5-star review. 5-star reviews are incredibly helpful to make sure that other women can get exposed to our community, get the information that they need, and to know that they are not alone and that they have a community behind them in their pursuit for financial freedom. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week for the next episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Lady Landlords Podcast. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate investing journey, visit lady-landlords.com to book a 15-minute orientation call with me and see if you're ready to join our mentorship program. Or you can subscribe to our newsletter and join our Facebook group for exclusive real estate investing tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a Lady Landlord today.